Second hour tonight. It's going to be a fast-moving show tonight, so please stay with us. Coming up at 10 o'clock today is the halfway point of the first term, maybe the only term, but the first term of President Joe Biden. And we're going to give you an opportunity to grade him, literally to give him grades, A, B, C, D, E, F, on a number of topics. Just like you got grades when you were in elementary school. I will explain. And then coming up at 11 tonight, I did spend a couple of days over the Martin Luther Day King weekend out of town, spent some time in Napa Valley, learned a lot about Napa Valley. What an amazing place. We're going to talk about wine at 11 o'clock in our 20th hour. But tonight we're going to talk about a subject a little closer to home, and that is the statue that was unveiled on Boston Common last weekend. It is entitled The Embrace. It is a statue which depicts the moment, I'm told, it depicts the moment when Dr. Martin Luther King and his wife learned that Dr. King had won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. It is receiving very mixed reviews. And with us is Boston Herald columnist Rasheed Walters. Rasheed is often a caller to this program, but he's also a very interesting writer for the Boston Herald and a columnist and an excellent journalist and writer. Rasheed, you wrote a piece which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was in the Herald on Wednesday. It's a commentary on the op-ed page. No common ground in embrace is the headline. I know you don't write the headline, but you have some misgivings about this. Tell us why.
Thanks, Dan. And to answer your 10 o'clock question, I would give Biden an F. But anyways, this segment, I'm growing up in Boston, spending most of my life on the Common, whether being pushed in a stroller or going to the frog pond or just walking through the Common, enjoying the ambiance. And also as a historian, this was such a great opportunity. In the Common, we have the Massachusetts 54th Monument. They just touched it up. Beautiful monument. City Hall Plaza, beautiful sculpture of Bill Russell. In the Public Garden, beautiful statue of Washington. I mean, we have the memorial for the soldiers in the Common as well. I mean, we have some awesome things in the Common, but more importantly, as a Black Bostonian, I think that this was such a great opportunity to honor a true adopted son and daughter of Boston, Dr. and Mrs. King. And what better way to honor them with a monument that shows both of them in their element, just like we see the Massachusetts 54th. They're in their element, ready to charge on Fort Wagner. You see Washington in his element. You see Russell with the basketball in his element. What an amazing way to portray Dr. and Mrs. King. And there is no statue outside of Allenburg, Pennsylvania, I believe. I probably said the city wrong, that has a statue of them together. So I'm like, all right, this is awesome. This is great. And also, it shows how far we have came over the past 50 years. I mean, a guy like me couldn't be in South Boston, and Dan, guys like us couldn't be in the North End because we lived in a city that had a lot of racial tension. And this monument in the oldest public park in the country, in one of the top tourist destinations in the world. I mean, you can't blow this one. This is like a pitch right down the middle, a slow pitch, an underhanded pitch.
Yeah.
And when I seen the monument, I was like, are we serious? You're going to have a dismembered Dr. and Mrs. King? When have you ever seen a white hero dismembered? Have you ever seen Washington with just a sword in the arm? Have you ever seen John Hancock with just a dismembered arm with a pen because he's known for the signature? No, we've never seen any of these things. But when it comes to our heroes, this is what we get. And it makes the city of Boston look ridiculous. I had friends texting me. They're like, oh, wow, Boston must be a really racist city. I mean, look what you guys did with the King statue. I said, well, the King statue wasn't done by the city of Boston. It was done by an organization of people that look like me.
Yeah. You are passionate on this, and I've looked at the sculpture. I haven't physically been there. I'm told that the event was closed to the public, that it was a invitation only, and I'm looking forward to getting to the common at some point, in the not too distant future, just to look at. But I've looked at the pictures of it, and I don't get it. To be honest with you, Rashid, I mean, I'm much more, I guess, of a literalist, in that it would have been great to have seen, you know, Dr. King, standing, holding hands with his wife, Coretta Scott King. I believe that even some members of the King family are not happy with this. Is that true?
Well, there's one cousin of Coretta Scott King who has called it a masturbatory tribute to his family. That's a very strong word. I mean, the New York Post called the statue a woke penis.
Yeah.
Some people have said the statue looked like feces and sexual innuendo. I'm just like, depends on the angle. But again, the family, there are some members of the family that are happy about it, and that's fine. But, if you didn't pay for it and, it's not something you put your money into, how happy are you really?
Yeah.
It's something,
the cousin of Coretta Scott King is a woman named Seneca Scott.
I think it's a gentleman, Dan. I think it's a guy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Seneca. Okay. Seneca. Thank you for that correction. I guess Saturday night. There's an article in the Boston Globe today, is what I'm reading from. So I always want to attribute the Boston Globe. Malcolm Gay of the Globe staff wrote a piece in today's. Actually, it was it's in today's newspaper. It hit yet last night digitally, and he quoted Saturday Night Live alum Leslie Jones, who was appearing, I guess, this week as a guest host of The Daily Show. She compared it to a certain sex act. And she said, according to the Globe today, I know Dr. King went down in history, she quipped, but this is not how you should show it. I mean, it's horrible. Has there been any reaction? The designer, I guess, the artist, there were a bunch of people who competed for this. The artist was Hank Willis Thomas. I don't know his work. Is he a well-known sculptor?
Well, he is. And the other thing, Dan, is that there were multiple submissions. And out of all the submissions, this one was the best. So that should go to show you the type of competition. But when it comes to the artist, he has made his comments.
Or it might show you who the judges were. It seems to me. I mean, if this was the best.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if I'm the artist is getting paid. This cost $10 million. Okay, I don't know how much he got paid, but he got paid. So
$10 million.
Does he really care? I don't know. But again, as a black man, somebody who is a reflection of Dr. King. You should have had some pride, man, doing this. And, again, I'm not going to knock the artist too hard. I'm going to knock him, but I'm not going to knock him too hard because, Dan, we're artists. We're wordsmiths. This is what we do, our form of art, right? But it's like, I gave an analogy to a friend today. There's nothing wrong with a bathing suit. You wear a bathing suit to the pool. But if you work in a corporate office, you don't wear the bathing suit to the corporate office because it's inappropriate. This type of statue could have did well in a contemporary art museum.
Well, in the Globe article today, which, by the way, Rashid quoted your column from Wednesday, a public art expert, professor emeritus at Stony Brook University down in New York, said, I think a lot of people who might not care for the design of the memorial are hesitant to say anything. Given the climate, there's a good deal of hesitancy to say anything negative about social justice endeavors. Well, I don't think you're saying anything negative about the endeavor. I think you're saying something negative and criticizing the way in which social justice has been memorialized. I mean, this statue is going to be there for, decades. We'll go to phone calls, okay? My guest is Rashid Walters, columnist with the with the Boston Herald. You read his stuff in the Herald very often. He's in on a regular, at least weekly, sometimes twice weekly basis. And the column that he wrote on Wednesday is available on Wednesday the 17th. If you care to check it out, you just go to the Herald. The column's title is "No Common Ground in Embrace." And again, I think that Rashid is a great writer. He happens to be a young black gentleman who grew up in Boston. Is a proud graduate of UMass Boston, like I am, although I went to what was called then Boston State. And Rashid is he presents his arguments so very well. Whether you agree or disagree, and if you happen to be a black Bostonian and you feel this is a wonderful exhibit, that's fine. If you agree with Rashid, love to hear from you. Or if you have an opinion on this one, we can have a civil conversation about something which has generated a great deal of controversy. And it's too bad. I agree with Rashid. It's too bad that an effort which was made to memorialize an American hero has ended up as something which has confused people and frustrated others. So feel free. 617-254-1030, 888-929-1030, 617-931-1030. I think Rashid has made his point of view very clear. I haven't seen I've seen the photographs, which I don't think are particularly good, but I would withhold my comment on it until I physically have a chance to visit this memorial, this statue, which I intend to do. And if you have seen it or you have an opinion, now's the time to call. 617-931-1030 is also a number that is easy to get through to. Back on Nightside with Rashid Walters, columnist for the Boston Herald, and I'm emphasize a Boston native, grew up in Dorchester and has been educated here in Boston. We'll be back on Nightside.
Nightside. There could be more to your story with RBSC. Hi, I'm Katie from Long Roofing.
Yes to
Winter is here.
Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by Happy and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Hi, I'm Katie from Long Roofing. Winter is here, and your roof might not be ready for the season. Snow, ice, and high winds can do serious damage to your home. A long roof will protect your most valuable investment for decades to come. Right now, no payments and no interest until 2024, plus $1,500 off your new roof. Schedule your free estimate today, and you'll see we do roof replacement the right way, the long way.
Attention Bachelor Nation, he's back. The host of some of America's most dramatic TV moments returns with the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison. During 2 decades in reality TV, Chris saw it all, and now he's telling all.
It's going to be difficult at times. It'll be funny. We'll push the envelope. But I promise you this, we have a lot to talk about.
Listen to the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
From Wall Street to your street. Catch the Wall Street Sweeper, airing Sundays 10 a.m. on WBZ. Hosted by the Wall Street Sweeper himself, certified financial analyst Russell Hackman. Russ has served major clients in Wall Street firms for over 25 years, and now he can help you. Gain key insight into your retirement and financial future. Tune in to the Wall Street Sweeper, Sundays at 10 a.m. on WBZ AM 1030 and online at hackmanwealth.com.
Responsible, reliable, and is there to take care of my needs. You get that with Billy Smaller from Smaller Insurance. I feel protected. I know my coverage is there on my homes. I know if I call him at 12 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock in the morning, Billy's there to answer that telephone. That's called being responsible and reliable.
Cindy makes the best houses in the area. When you see these houses, you know it's a Cindy Stumpo house. So we at Smaller Insurance have to do our best to make sure that she is fully protected. When it comes to insurance, go smaller. SmallerInsurance.com.
Sometimes your kids scuff up the walls with their toys, or the winter weather beats up on the outside of your house. Either way, I've got a solution. CertaPro Painters. Hey, it's Adam. I've used CertaPro Painters at my house, and they paint with an attention to detail like only a neighborhood business can because, well, each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Follow my lead. Schedule a free estimate with your home or business at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Again, that's CertaPro.com. You'll be bragging to your friends. like I am now.
It's Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
My guest is Rasheed Walters, Boston Herald columnist. By the way, there'll be a story in the Boston Herald tomorrow about our interview last night with Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox. So when you pick up the Herald tomorrow morning, you'll see a story. Police Commissioner Department would welcome being a part of Boston Public Schools. Commissioner Cox was with us on Nightside last night at the 8 o'clock hour. You can hear that interview in its entirety. Just go to nightsideondemand.com. By the way, my good friend Joe has sent me a picture, a better monument to Dr. King on the back of a Residence Inn by Marriott on Charlotte Avenue in the South End. A great photograph. I'm unfamiliar with that photograph, but it's a great photograph of Dr. King talking on the telephone. Rob made the point during the break that no one would know who that person is. Why would they not have the head of Dr. King, the beautiful head of his wife, both of whom, as you mentioned, met here in Boston.
Love story began here, yep.
It's a love story. It's a Boston love story. Okay, we're going to go to phone calls. Let me start it off with Paul in South Boston. Paul, you were first this hour on Nightside. Go right ahead.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Good, sir.
Happy New Year, by the way. I don't know if that's getting late.
No, it isn't. You can always say Happy New Year. My rule is in January. As of February, that's all over. Go right ahead. You're on with Rasheed Walters.
Anyway, Dan, I was going down there because I ride my bike all the time. I was going down there during the summer when they were assembling it, so I peeked through the fence.
Yep.
So I didn't go for the dedication, but I have been down there a few times.
I think the dedication was invitation only. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Rasheed, but I think that's...
Oh, yeah, invitation only, buried off, yep. That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I went down there, but when you had said you're afraid to criticize it, yes, I did not criticize it there. I took that home and discussed it with my brother, but yeah, it was kind of not nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like what Rashad said earlier. I don't know if he said it or said somebody else had said it, that it looks like poop,
Yeah. Well,
and then if you look at it from the back, it has a different depiction of it. That's not nice either. I think Rashad knows what I'm talking about.
yeah. Yeah, Rasheed.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see what people think about it. So, Paul, you've watched it closely. I appreciate you starting off the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And Dan,
Yes, Rasheed.
to quickly comment, I wrote a tweet saying, because I'm not white and wouldn't be accused of racism, I could criticize the statue. And I think that's kind of what Paul was getting at, and it's just so strange. Wasn't Dr. King's dream that everybody will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin? So the fact that white people cannot comment on an aesthetically unpleasant statue, it's just ridiculous. And I'm happy that we have this forum for everybody to express themselves freely.
Well, that's exactly right. And people will always have their First Amendment rights here. And thank you, Paul. Speaking about First Amendment rights, my good friend, attorney Harvey Silverglade is joining us. Harvey, get you in here before the bottom of the hour. Go right ahead.
I'll be very quick. I was at the I Have a Dream speeches, I think you know. And I was
as a young, by the way, I want to mention, as a young journalist, Harvey Silverglade.
As a young journalist. And I looked into the face of Martin Luther King Jr. He had an incredible face. He had incredible eyes. His chin, everything about his face was charismatic, and yet calm. Absolute. There's a certain kind of calm in his face. If he hadn't had such a remarkable face, I wouldn't have a view about the statue. But this is a situation where the face was everything. How they could eliminate his face. And Coretta Scott King had a kind of calm. I've never seen her without a smile. So that's, to me, that's the determining factor, that there was a unique and wonderful face there that got eliminated.
That's an interesting observation, Rasheed. I had not thought of that. Obviously, Dr. King has a visage, a face that is known worldwide, I should say. And I think, Harvey, the word I think of is serene. He never angered. I mean, he spoke passionately, but he never spoke in anger, in my opinion. He spoke passionately. Difference between anger.
In the most dangerous situations he was in when he was being arrested, he had that in his face that I think freaked out the people who were arresting him.
Mm.
Well, again, another reason why people are going to walk by that statue years from now, and they're not going to understand what it represents. So, but I want to wait until I see it. But having seen the pictures of it, my expectation level is not great. Harvey, as always, I so thank you. We're going to talk next week about an issue that you're going to be on a guest next week. I think it's Wednesday night at 9:00, if I'm not mistaken.
What you said.
We will nail that down. A very interesting topic. Harvey, thanks for your friendship. Thanks for being a listener, and thanks always for being available as a guest. Thanks, Harvey.
Thank you, Harvey.
Bye. Good night. Great guy, Rashid. I hope you meet Harvey. Just wonderful.
Oh, I would love to.
Let me take a very quick break. We're just about coming up on 9:30, the 9:30 news. We've got a lot of calls. We're going to get everybody in. I promise. If there's someone out there who has seen the statue, the embrace, or who believes that it is just the most magnificent structure, sculpture, or views it more favorably, all points of view are welcome here on Nightside. Back on Nightside right after this.
It's Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
Trying to lose weight? The experts at Tufts Medical Center dispel popular myths about weight loss. Now at WBZ1030.com/health. Trying to lose weight? The experts at Tufts Medical Center dispel
by calling 1-844-433-5225, sunpumpgeeks.com.
Trying to lose weight? The experts at Tufts Medical Center dispel popular myths about weight loss. Now at WBZ1030.com/health.
Visit Salem, Mass. for Salem So Sweet and February vacation. Arrive by car or train to enjoy history, events, shopping, and dining. Learn more at salem.org.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi there, this is Jordan Rich. You know, the cost of everything these days has skyrocketed, from gasoline to the grocery store, the cost of housing, clothing, and more, with all of us feeling the impact of inflation, certainly those on fixed incomes and retirement. But you don't have to navigate the highs and the lows alone. Help is definitely out there. Ready to answer your SOS, South Shore Retirement Services can conduct an all-hands analysis and customize an effective retirement plan for you. Book a complimentary 15-minute strategy call today to get your questions answered. Call 781-836-4214. Again, that number is 781-836-4214. Or visit retiresouthshore.com. That's retiresouthshore.com. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services available through AEWM LLC.
This is Dan Ray. And you know, you never have to miss a second of Nightside. Just go to nightsideondemand.com. There you'll find hour-long segments and full shows. With Nightside On Demand, you can listen to Nightside anywhere, anytime. It's Nightside at your fingertips. So just go to nightsideondemand.com to catch up or listen back to any show on your time.
Nicole Davis with a quick check of the stories trending right now on WBZ News Radio 1030. accused of killing a New Hampshire couple back in April has been indicted in New Hampshire on second-degree murder charges. Logan Clegg set to be arraigned on the 30th. He's accused of shooting Stephen and Wendy Reed on a hiking trail in Concord, moving the victims' bodies, and then burning his tent and campsite after the killings. And today, the state's gaming commission here in Massachusetts met to talk about a very important detail when it comes to sports betting. When you'll be able to come into the state's free casinos and place your very first legal sports bet. Here's Executive Director Karen Wells.
My suggestion is that we do a 10 a.m. start.
And after a quick discussion, the rest of the commissioners agreeing with her. So as long as all the legal stuff makes its way through before January 31st, on that day at 10 a.m., you can head to Encore Boston Harbor, MGM Springfield, and Plainridge Park Casino to place your bets. I'm Nicole Davis.
It's Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
Back to the phones we go. We're going to speak with Nezer in Roxbury. Nezer, have I got the pronunciation correctly, I hope?
Yes, Nezer Porter, yes, correct.
Thank you, Nezer. You're on with my guest, Rasheed Walters. Go right ahead.
Yes, when I looked at the statue, I thought it was kind of a slap in the face to the black community, because I was hoping to see something with an image of Martin Luther King. And I got different mixed opinions about people who saw it, and they couldn't tell me what it was. And without me explaining it to them, they would never know what it was.
Nezer, could I ask you a question? Do you happen to be black?
I am black, yes, sir.
Okay, so you have the same perspective that Rasheed does. Rasheed, your comment on Nezer's perspective is shared by, you share his perspective.
Of course, and I thank you for calling, because I think that the people that really have to talk up the most are the black community in Boston, because this monument is a representation of us. Okay, so if we're silent about it, then it looks bad on us, because Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King's legacy to Boston is so special, and it's always special for us, especially as black Bostonians, to point to our history. I mean, we have had many greats here, but, you know, there's been nobody, in my humble opinion, that has contributed to the world like Dr. King and his beautiful wife has. And, you know, they belong to us. And if there's going to be a poor representation, we have to speak up. And I really thank you for speaking up.
I just wish they had more input from the black community, and they could have got better advice on how they could have done that.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it seems as though we have this black political elite class. Like every group that has been in Boston, there's some type of elite class that they only care about furthering themselves and not their own community. And that was kind of what we were dealing with.
I agree with that.
Nezer, I don't know that you've ever called my show before. Is this your first time calling?
This is my first time.
I want to give you a round of applause from our digital studio audience. I hope you continue to listen and call any night. I really do appreciate it. You sound like a young guy.
I am a young guy. Years ago, you had my father on here. We're going back some years, and he had the same name as mine.
And what was I talking to him about? Refresh my recollection.
I'm not sure of the topic. I can't even remember what it was now, but it was a while ago.
Was he a guest? Was he a guest, Nezer, or a caller?
He was a caller.
Okay, now we have two generations of the family. That's great.
Amazing.
Nezer, hope to meet you someday. Thank you much.
Sure, definitely.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Let me go to Frank in Boston. Frank, you were next in on Nightside. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Dan. Thanks for having me. Nice to talk to you, Rasheed. And
thank you.
I agree with everything you said. I also agree with what Harvey said. He kind of stole my thunder, but in the
don't feel bad about it. He's stolen a lot of people's thunder over here. He's a smart guy.
I know.
Go ahead, Frank.
Well, you know, this 22-foot tall, 40,000-pound sculpture or whatever it is, it's a monument to nothingness. You know, if you took Dr. King's face, as someone touched on, I just think, although he could have been called a radical, rabble-rouser, I saw his face as a peaceful one. I saw his face as impressive, as something that, you know, obviously was memorable. And his wife It was pretty graceful. Again, I'm talking about film that I've seen and, you know, photos that I've seen. But Rashid's right when he alluded to, you know, the Bill Russell statue isn't an arm with a ball. The Bobby Orr statue isn't a glove with a stick.
Yeah.
You know, Red Auerbach isn't a cigar in a hand.
Yeah.
And I wanted this statue to speak to me about Martin Luther King and his wife. And what happened here is, I believe, that the people making the decision went to the boardrooms for their opinions when they may have been better off going to the barrooms. And, you know, I mean that, but I don't think the everyday common man or woman had any input. And speaking of the common man or woman, this event was very exclusive. And today, you know, the buzzwords are inclusive and justice. There was no justice putting a fence around this celebration. And I think Dr. King would have been very disappointed the way people were fenced out of this event.
Yeah, I had heard that, Frank, and I mentioned that earlier. Were people able to at least view the event from the other side of the fence, or no?
From what I heard, probably.
There's a very telling photo, and I'm not sure if it was in the Globe or the Herald. It's black and brown children lifting the top that was over the fence and peering through it. And that, you know,
that is not the image Boston wants, or not the image any American city wants. Yeah.
No.
It's terrible.
But again, thanks for having me, Dan and Rashid. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night. Yeah, Rashid, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I'm just saying, wow, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. You talk about, I mean, children not being permitted to see the event. Well, I don't know. It's inexplicable. Let me get real quickly in here, if I can, Alex in Millis. Alex, next on Nightside. Go right ahead.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Rashid. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I haven't seen the statue, but I grew up in the Back Bay, and you're right. You know, they have all these magnificent statues, and this is like, sort of like staining the common. And Dr. King, they should have used something else. I was wondering, of all the entries that they did, which other ones would have been better? I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
I don't know that Rashid has seen them either. Rashid, have you seen them?
I've seen them.
Yeah.
So the other entries literally had no image of Dr. King or his wife. They were like fountains. Some of them were just like some stuff. It was just, I posted it on my Twitter. My Twitter is Rashid, RASHEED, N Walters, WALTERS. I posted the link showing the other submissions. And trust me when I tell you this, what you see on the common was the best out of all of them. So that should tell you a lot.
Wow. Well, that does say a lot.
Yeah. Can this be undone? I mean, and put a nice statue of Dr. King.
Well, it's a 20-ton statue that Rashid said cost $10 million.
Well, they've removed other statues, that they disagreed with in other places, other states. So
the Lincoln statue was removed from in Boston earlier either late last year or the year before. That was a statue that stood for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was paid for by free blacks. Free blacks paid for that statue, just like the one in D.C. So,
that was a replica of the one in D.C. It's unbelievable, Rashid. I love irony, that's for sure. Alex, thank you so much. I want to keep rolling here, okay, buddy?
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Joe is in Boston. Joe, thank you for sending that picture. How are you?
For a long, long time. And
go right ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, and over there, I mean, I'm dating myself now. We used to have relationships. I started with a friend of his that is Evan Dimidi, used to own a Stella's on the street.
Yeah. I gotta get. There's some noise in the background. I think it's a little distracting.
And then we had the Bruins when they had the run for the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
They actually won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Like I was driving a lot of other guys because I was driving for both of them. All the celebrities that used to come over. I was the guy to drive them, and build up relationships. And that's how I end up with the Himmels, with people from Grill 23 as well. Yeah, because Boston is Chris Himmel. Chris Himmel is a fan. His father, I've driven them all. Which is a good thing, and they're friends. And we have common friends, and it's become a small world. Because
I like to say, Joe, I like to say
in
Boston.
general, you need to know people.
Yeah, I like to say Boston is
from there I've driven like LeBron James on Grill 23.
Yeah, Joe, you got a lot of noise in the background there. As I say, Boston is a big city but a small town, and we need to we need to become closer with one another and become a more unified city.
I've driven him by request from there as well. And then we do a lot of business together because I have a lot of high-end clients. And they need, like, for instance, last May, there was a graduation, Boston College graduation. But the family, they were unable to get the restaurant type that they wanted. And the uncle called me. He's one of my regulars. He goes, can you talk to you people in Grill? And they were able to accommodate them early in the afternoon. Party of 45, by the way.
Okay. Hey, I'm up with my break here, Joe. I got to let you run. A lot of noise in the background here tonight. You sound like you're in a busy location. All right, Joe. Joe, I'm losing you here. Thank you very much. Rashid, comment on Joe's comments.
I couldn't really make out much of what Joe was saying, but thank you for calling, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Linda in Hyde Park. We got Janice in Melrose, Tom in Topsfield, and Susan in Cambridge will be next on the other side. I don't want to shortchange any of these. We're going to get everybody in. Susan, you're on deck. Coming up right after the break.
Hi, Dan.
Nighttime with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
How should you begin the new year? With beautiful skin from Begin With Skin Med Spa in Chelmsford. Begin With Skin Med Spa offers hydrofacials, laser hair removal, microneedling, treatments to reduce wrinkles, and so much more for women and men. They are the experts in anti-aging skincare, offering complimentary consultations. Joanne Sargent and her team of fairy glam mothers at Begin With Skin Med Spa are ready to help you start the new year with a beautiful skin, regardless of your age. Visit beginwithskinmedspa.com. That's beginwithskinmedspa.com. Attention Bachelor Nation. He's back. The host of some of America's most dramatic TV moments returns with the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison. During 2 decades in reality TV, Chris saw it all, and now he's telling all.
It's going to be difficult at times. It'll be funny. We'll push the envelope. But I promise you this, we have a lot to talk about.
Listen to the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
4.03% interest. Talk about an amazing savings rate. Hi, this is Kevin Chapman for the City of Boston Credit Union. If you're looking for a sure way to grow your money, check out the City of Boston Credit Union's 34-month share certificate special. Lock in a rate as high as 4.03% for nearly 3 years. All you need is a minimum $500 deposit. Open a share certificate today at cityofbostoncu.com. It's just like a CD, but with an amazing rate. That's cityofbostoncu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, member MSIC.
Every person is different, and every person craves different foods, and that's why a one-size-fits-all approach can be so challenging to eating healthy or losing weight. And that's why Awaken 180 really works, because we take an individualized approach to your nutrition needs. We meet with you one-on-one every week to learn how we can help make things easier for you, to give you solutions to get through the things that really challenge you, to find ways to help you see success so that you not only lose weight, but you feel your best and you stay healthy.
Staying healthy. A goal all of us have as this flu season heightens into the new year. Put yourself in the best position to keep that goal. Control what you can control, your weight. Make 2023 the last time losing weight will be on your New Year's resolution list by reserving your Awaken 180 weight loss consultation today. 7 Massachusetts locations, 2 now in Connecticut, and of course the at-home program online at awaken180weightloss.com, 844-346-1800.
Hey, it's Adam. I've got a great way to put a little sunshine on that dull, dreary gray we've got outside this winter. Paint. My friends at CertaPro Painters are here for you. For your home or business needs, whether you're looking to brighten up the inside of your place or just put a fresh new coat outside to spruce up the curb appeal, make it look good when you're walking in. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Again, that's CertaPro.com.
Close to 20 million Americans struggle with alcoholism. Our neighbors in Massachusetts and New Hampshire are no exception. If you or a loved one is struggling with alcoholism, Aware Recovery Care, a uniquely effective, pandemic-safe, Yale-inspired, in-home addiction treatment program, is now serving Massachusetts and New Hampshire. If you or someone you love is struggling with alcoholism right now, call Aware Recovery Care at 844-AWARE-RC or visit awarerecoverycare.com.
You're on Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
Okay, we got 4 callers, going to get 4 in, I hope. Susan in Cambridge. Susan, next on Nightside with Rashid Walters of the Boston Herald.
Hi, Rashid. Hi, Dan. I'm sorry to hear that, Rashid, that you and some people are disappointed in it, because I actually saw it on Monday, and I'd seen the renderings as well, and I thought it was stunningly beautiful. I had the fortune of seeing it both. We got there kind of late afternoon, so I saw it sort of in daylight dusk, and then when I walked back later to the Park Street T, saw it lit. And I think it's a beautiful monument. For me, I mean, I can look at a picture, you know, there's millions of photos of MLK, and this was something different. It's art, and I thought it celebrates both their love for one another and their love for their community.
All right, well, again, all points of view are welcome here at this point. Susan, it's great to hear your different take on it. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Also,
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you much. Then we go next to Janice is in Melrose. Hey, Janice, welcome. You're next on Nightside.
Hi, actually, I have a similar viewpoints to Susan. I had heard negative things all day about the statue. When I finally sat down to see it online, I was shocked that I kind of liked it. And then I read about the artist and what he was trying to do.
Tell us what you liked about it, and maybe
well, it's
comment.
After reading what the artist was intending to do and show the strength of each supporting the other, and it wasn't just, I don't think he was just portraying what was in the photo called The Embrace. He was talking about how Coretta Scott King supported how after he died, and her strength, and it was just two people supporting each other. But I wanted to add that I saw something beautiful in that, so I don't think it is an insult to the Black community in Boston, but I think it is in the wrong place. I think it belongs in a museum where people go when they are trying to look at, okay, what messages are underneath this? What is the artist trying to say? I don't think it belongs on Boston Common, but I didn't find it offensive. But I'm
Janice,
not Black.
Janice, let me get Rashid in here. Rashid obviously is Black. Nazar, who called earlier, is Black. I'm not sure if you're Black or not, but are you Black or white?
I am white.
Okay, no problem. But again,
I'm interested in what he says, but I just think it's in the wrong place.
Listen to what Rashid said, and he's listened to what you had to say, and you can comment on what he has to say. Rashid, feel free.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. I just feel a little taken aback by you saying that it's not an insult to the Black community. I mean, we're saying it's an insult to our community. I'll give you a prime example. There are tons of photos of George Washington. George Washington ideally represents a lot of white Americans. There is a Columbus statue. My friend Tom is in line. You can talk a little bit about that as well. You don't see Columbus standing there with just, here's his little hat that he wore on the voyage, or here's Washington's arm. We're insulted because if we want to really talk about equity, we are not having an equal opportunity to portray our leaders. You don't see any of the white Bostonian leaders with dismembered. There's a statue of Mayor Curley. You don't see Mayor Curley headless with just assuming he was a big celebrity in the Irish community. Every community gets to have their hero portrayed in an appropriate manner. We didn't. And this is why it's insulting. Because, again, if we're going to be about diversity and equity, we deserve an equal statue. That's why we're insulted.
All right, well, I don't know that that's going to convince you, Janice, but...
Well, I think he was misunderstanding what I was saying. I just think you do deserve a statue of Martin Luther King where you can see all of him in the public garden. But I don't know. There may be museums where there are abstract portrayals of George Washington. I'm just saying.
I've never heard of one of Washington, to be really honest with you.
Well, of any other leaders of Columbus or anyone.
Janice,
all
I think
I'm
most
saying,
of the leaders are presented as they were.
in a public, in the Boston Common, and I agree with you. I'm just saying that as a piece of art, I think there's something beautiful about it, and it does not belong on the Boston Common, and you deserve to see the whole person.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Janice. I got three other calls on the kid. Thanks, Janice. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Janice.
Let's keep rolling. We're going to go to Tom and Topsy. Tom, love to have you. We're a little bit late here. If you could be quick,
okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
Sure, I can make it very quickly, Dan. Rashid, I know that exactly how you feel. Now, something can maybe backfire and disrespect the community that he really represented. I think he's a great man, and unfortunately, we don't have time to have everything contextualized to know what they were representing on that statue. Unfortunately, as you said, statues represent communities, and I'm going to bring up the Columbus statue in the North End, which was beheaded 2 years ago, and the city basically has made no effort to return it to its rightful spot. And you talk about communities of color or not, or Italian-American communities, we are totally disrespected, and we found that we were not treated or taken into consideration when Mayor Janey made an executive order to remove Columbus Day, and the statue was not returned by Mayor Walsh, who left Boston before he resolved the situation. Rashid's very right. We are sensitive about these issues, and we were disrespected as a community, as Italian Americans, and here we are 3 years ago talking about another statue, and it's inappropriate how it's being handled.
All right,
and there
Tom,
are so many other statues that represent different communities.
I just got to get two other folks in here.
It's just wrong.
Tom, appreciate it. You said it well. I just got to get two other folks in real quickly here.
Fine.
Okay, everybody's calling late. Thank you, Tom. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Tom. Take care.
All right, Rashid.
Let's go to Linda at Hyde Park. Linda, got room for you and one more. Go right ahead, Linda.
Hi, Dan. Hello to your guest. I was walking out of my kitchen, and my son's looking at the TV. I said, "What's that, a bronze apple?" He said, "That's Martin Luther King." I won't tell you what I said to him.
The old lady, no problem.
I said, "You got to be, and you know what it was."
Yeah, we get that.
I know, Dan. That should be removed out of respect to everyone. If someone in authority doesn't remove that respectfully, there's something wrong with Boston.
All right, we'll let it go at that, Linda. I want to get one more in. I'm trying to get everybody in or so here at the end.
All right, good night to you, guest.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Let's go to Paul in Hyannisport. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Dan, I've been on your show a couple times.
I know exactly who this is. Want me to identify you or no?
That's fine.
My friend Paul Stewart, former NHL referee and NHL hockey player. Go right ahead, Paul.
Nice. Hey, Paul.
Rashid, hi, Rashid. And, you know, I'm a great fan of your writing, and as well, I listen to Nightside with Dan. I have his hat. I've traveled the world, and some of the most powerful statues that I've seen, the Marine statue outside of Arlington, and of course we think of the grave site of John Kennedy. And I think what's important is that I had believed that the statue would be catching the time that Coretta Scott met Martin Luther King in Austin, that they would have perhaps been holding hands, and you know, in the base of the statue, we have a dream, and with an eternal flame. And I think that you're right, that the statue should be moved and take it and put it perhaps at BU where they met. But as well, they could put it perhaps out in front of the Museum of Fine Arts. my attitude is, and you think of the statue of Paul Revere in front of the Old North Church, and you think of Washington's statue on the Common, you look at that, they exude the power and the message that the artists meant for people to appreciate for the rest of time. And I always think of Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta Scott King, as a couple holding hands and moving forward in the world. And I think that's something that I had hoped and perhaps expected that we might see.
Paul, you summed it up magnificently as always, my friend. We will talk soon and hopefully see you soon, okay?
Very good, and Happy New Year to you both.
Right back at you.
Thank you so much.
Continue your good work for the Boston Herald. When are you next in the Herald, do you know?
I was in Friday, but I just want to say a special shout out to Joe and Sandy over at the Herald and to everybody that's reading us. This year, I'm telling you, I'm taking the gloves off. I'm not mincing words. And I'm going to give you the best that I possibly can give you. And I'm going to say what many of you think and are too afraid to say. And it's going to be in the paper. So I'm not sure when I'll be in there next week. I'm doing 2 submissions a week. So just keep your eyes out.
We can look every day. We'll look every day. Rashid, I got to run here. Great job. Great. Thank you so much for your friendship.
Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break. We got the 10 o'clock news report card time for President Biden.